Welcome to this 1-hour candidate forum made possible by the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights. My name is Rosemary Heckard, and I am from the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, and Buffalo Grove. I am also a member of our Emerging Leaders program. Founded over 100 years ago out of the era of the movement earning women their constitutional right to vote and the shock of the First World War, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. That means we neither support nor oppose any candidate or party for any office. Why do we do this? Well, the League's purpose came from a great idea that a nonpartisan civic organization could provide the education and experience the public needs to assure the success of democracy. As your local league, we have served the community here for decades, putting on candidate forums, free and open to the public and to all candidates on the ballot. Providing this forum is one way to help you be better informed about the issues important to you and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are glad you are here and happy to continue our nonpartisan tradition to provide this service for our community. To send in any questions you have for the candidates, please text 847-701-4701, or you can email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. All the candidates were invited to participate in this forum by email and phone before today. To participate, the candidates agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. Our moderator coming up will explain the ground rules so that everyone knows what to expect. Let's again provide you with that number and email to send your questions to. Please send your questions to 847-701-4701, or you can email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. All the questions will be provided by audience members. Each question will be answered by all the candidates. So please, audience, ask questions that pertain to the office being elected and that pertains to all the candidates. We will only use questions which can be answered by all candidates. Before they are asked, questions will be reviewed by League volunteers for clarity, appropriateness, and to avoid duplication. Candidates have been asked not to interrupt one another. The moderator will repeat a question if asked. The candidates are to speak to the audience. I'd like to introduce our moderator for tonight's event, Shannon Silverman.
Thank you, Rosemary. Good evening, everyone. We'll now start our forum. As we all know from Zooming the past couple of years, technology is what it is. We appreciate your understanding. We are all volunteers working our best to ensure that this runs as smoothly as possible. My name is Shannon Silverman, and I am a trained moderator for about 7 years. I'm a resident of Arlington Heights. I'm not a voter within the Ward 5 district and have no ties to either the candidates or campaigns or interests in the outcome of the Ward 5 election. With me on screen, we have our candidates and our timer, League member Nancy Jones. I would like to note that the webinar Q&A chat has been disabled for the audience. So if you would like to submit a question for the candidates, I'll mention that text number and email again, please submit them. Text to 847-701-4701 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. Good questions really matter and make a difference to a candidate forum. Text again is 847-701-4701 or email forum.lwvah@gmail.com. Immediately before the start of this forum, the candidates agreed to a coin toss to determine the speaking order. We will start this forum with John Bassesi, candidate for the position of 5th Ward Alderman for Rolling Meadows City Council, and then Stephanie Boucher will be our second speaker, again, according to the coin toss, as candidate for the position of 5th Ward Alderman for Rolling Meadows City Council. The speaking order was determined randomly by coin toss, as I mentioned before the start of the forum. In fairness, I will rotate this order, again, also according to the rules the candidates agreed to for the questions portion of the forum, which will follow the opening statements. The candidates agreed to abide by the ground rules before this forum. To highlight the most pertinent here, the ground rules are: no photography, image, or portion of recording of this forum today is allowed to be used by the candidate, campaign, or others. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their introductory statement. The candidate who opens first will be the last to respond in closing statements. Then, actually before the closing statements, questions obtained from the audience, as Rosemary mentioned, were reviewed by our volunteers, will be asked, and each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question. The candidates' turns to answer questions, again, will be in a rotational order, which I will prompt if necessary. At the end, each candidate will have a 2-minute closing. And I ask you candidates to please adhere to the time limits. Technology being what it is, we will have, for the question and answer portion, a 30-second and 15-second reminder on screen for them. League members are our timers today. And we ask the candidates to complete their thoughts before they see the stop card. Time limits will be enforced out of respect for all the candidates. Again, we only use questions which pertain to the office being elected and can be answered by all candidates. When you see the stop sign, candidates, you may finish your sentence and thought. And with that, we'll begin the opening statements. Candidate Besessi, please begin when you are ready.
Okay. Hello, my name is John Besessi. I'm a citizen of Rolling Meadows for 32 years, including 24 years in the 5th Ward. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration from Roosevelt University in management. I'm married for 34 years and a father of 2 wonderful teenage boys, both of which went through our school systems and are now attending Harper College. I've been a member of the City Council for the last 4 years, and I do thank the residents for electing me. Over that time, we've had a lot of issues come around, a lot of change, I believe mostly for the good. And I think our city is on a really good course. Prior to being on the City Council, I spent 16 years with the Planning Commission, and then which became the Planning and Zoning Commission, including 2 years as the chairman of that commission. Prior to that, I spent 15 years as a volunteer for various activities throughout the city of Rolling Meadows, whether it be with the PTA, Special Olympics. I was chairman of the 4th of July parade for 5 years, including our 50th anniversary. And I've always made myself available for those activities. I'm also a member of Trinity Lutheran Church. As I said, I have been a resident for 35 years, and I think that uniquely qualifies me to understand, our history, what makes Rolling Meadows special, and it's pretty much it.
Thank you, Candidate Besessi. Candidate Boucher, when you're ready.
So my video is not working. It won't let me undo it. So, hi, I'm Stephanie
Well,
Boucher.
hold on. Candidate Boucher, let's see if we can get that working.
Sure.
Before you begin, I don't want that to hamper you.
No, I just
There she
we
is.
are.
where I went. Here I am.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So hi, my name is Stephanie Boucher, and I am a 30-year resident of Rolling Meadows Ward 5. I am a proud alum of the local schools, Willow Bend, Carl Sandburg, and Rolling Meadows High School. I have a bachelor's in science and recreation, sport, and tourism from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. And I've spent the last 15 years working at Motorola Solutions, where I am currently a project manager in the government and public safety realm of our corporation. I am also the mom to a high school junior over at Rolling Meadows High School. I am really looking forward to the opportunity to put my passion for government and for helping solve problems to work and to use. I have a lot of great ideas of ways we can help move our city forward. We live in a great city in a great ward, and there's just a lot of potential for us with changes that are coming in our surrounding areas. So I have also worked as a volunteer at the PTAs at Willow Bend and Carl Sandburg. I was PTA, PTSA president. I was also Northwest Suburban Council president, so responsible for all of the schools in District 15. And I am currently on the Rolling Meadows High School Music Boosters Executive Committee. And so that takes up a lot of my volunteer time. So I know how to multitask, and I know how to work in a group, and I know how to listen to others and others' opinions and ideas. So I'm just really looking forward to the opportunity to be able to represent Ward 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Boucher. We will now start with our question and answer portion of the evening. The first person to answer the first question will be Candidate Boucher, as she was second in the opening statements. So if you want to catch your breath a second.
I'm good. I'm ready.
Okay. First question up is, in your and it's kind of a three-parter, two or three-parter. Okay. In your conversations with your potential constituents, what were the three top issues they would like to address for them? They said that they would like you to address for them on council. And how do you plan to address at least one of them? I guess it's a two-parter. So the first part, I'll repeat it. In your conversations with your potential constituents, what were the top three issues they would like you to address for them on the council? And how do you plan to address at least one of them? And you do have a minute to answer.
So while walking around this past weekend and while getting signatures, the thing I hear the most is the traffic from the high school is the biggest concern for residents in Ward 5. There's a safety issue for our children walking home and the parents who use our neighborhood to not have to go into the high school. There's also a big concern about the safety of the children at the park. There's not a lot of police rotation through our area, and at dusk or at dawn, the cars come screeching out, and there's a lot of requests for maybe more police coming through and just making sure that everything is safe as these kids walk home from the park or drive home from the park. And the other was a lot of concern about lack of new businesses in the city as a whole. So where people are looking for more places to go and more places to eat. And with that, a concern about the amount of vaping stores that are popping up in Rolling Meadows, as that is a detriment to the health and safety of our teenagers.
Okay, thank you. Your minute has lapsed. There'll be plenty of opportunity to share more thoughts. Okay. Candidate Bassesi, same question to you. I'm happy to repeat it if you would like.
I believe it was the three main issues that residents have been talking about.
Yes. And the second part is, how do you plan to address at least one of them?
Oh, okay. Well, I've been hearing a lot of the same issues. One is obviously traffic. Getting out at the corner of Linden and Central in the morning is difficult. There's also a large gathering of people over by Oak and Linden as well, before and after school. On that issue, I've actually worked with the police, and I've asked them to go through that area before and after school, just to make sure that there's not too much chaos going on right there. Because I remember last year when my kids were going to the high school, it is very hectic through there, and I'm worried one of the kids may get hurt. Another issue that I've heard is Arlington Park. They wanted to make sure that it doesn't hurt our way of life. The good things about Rolling Meadows, and I can assure the residents that
Thank you. I suspect there will be an opportunity to elaborate on that further on in the forum.
I would assume.
Okay, so candidate Bessetti, you are up first for this next question in the rotational order. I'll just say it. Do you consider the neighborhoods in Ward 5 to be safe? I believe you both touched on that in the first answer, but let's bear down a little bit further on it. What, if anything, can be done to make them safer?
Okay, a couple of things. I believe we are, for the most part, a safe community. We've had some issues in the residents within East Park, and that have had some issues over time. However, I've worked with our police department, and we have a very good social services director who has been working well in that community. I've also asked for the police to actually several times. They've gone and done some speed studies along Oak, particularly around Maple. At dusk time, there's usually a lot of cars coming out off of Maple onto Oak, and I've asked the police to go there. They've also put up speed monitors. Other than that, safety is generally, I think, very good in our ward, considering how it could be.
Thank you, John Bessetti. Stephanie Boucher, same question to you. Would you like it repeated?
We're talking about safety of the communities within Ward 5.
Yes. And what, if anything, can be done to make them safer?
I think a big thing that could make our ward safer, again, relies around high school time. We are a matter of time before a child gets hit by a car because there's no control over traffic flow. A police officer there for a couple of days, just directing traffic, showing people, moving people along, following traffic rules would make that community so much safer. I know I worry about when my daughter is walking home or when the elementary school kids are walking. I feel very safe in our community. I was just walking around. There's a lot of people out. There's a lot of people using the parks. You see the people in the apartments behind us all the time out and about. So I feel safety is, we're in a safe place. There's just things that we could work to make our children safer as they commute to and from school.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Boucher, you are up first for this next question. We're switching gears a bit out of the safety questions. How do you plan to continue to stay in touch with your constituents if you are elected?
So I am a big fan of social media. Being a millennial, grew up with social media through college. I currently have a Facebook page. I am active on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have an email, knowing we have a little bit of an aging community, walking around, talking to people, just kind of making myself available. But I think getting people onto social media would be a great way. I know there's some wards who their aldermen share most of their stuff through social media and people feel very connected. So I would push to kind of move that into Ward 5 as well, and just work with the local housing units to really kind of get all of our ward, because we're kind of separated out, and just move to really push through, because kids, that's what everyone's on, is social media. So really pushing to get to people that way. You reach the most amount of people with the same message.
Thank you. Candidate Bessetti?
Yes, I think this is a very important topic. You can't really do the job unless you're connected with the residents. For that reason, I do, periodically go out and talk with the residents. We did have COVID over the last 4 years, so it did kind of derail some of my plans to have town halls every quarter. Although we did have a handful of town halls since I've been a alderman, where I would bring in the police chief, public works director, and have some various topics that may be affecting our ward. I would like to do a better job with social media. I do have a Facebook site that has been reactivated, and I am starting to post information on that site. But I believe a lot in face-to-face. When it comes to a lot of the tough issues, I will generally go and talk with my neighbors and get their opinions on those particular topics.
Thank you. Thank you. We are up for the next question, and you are the first one up for that, candidate Basessi. How can Rolling Meadows and Ward 5 in particular keep its existing population and attract growth? That's the first part. Second part, if you propose improvements to infrastructure, the library or parks, how would you fund it? It's a lot to cover in a minute.
Yeah,
But,
that is a lot to, that is a lot.
So
Okay.
distribute
So,
your time as you wish, but the first part is how can Rolling Meadows and Ward 5 in particular keep its existing population and attract growth? Second, if you propose improvements to infrastructure, the library or parks, how would you fund it?
okay. So as far as the population, much of the population that is living in Rolling Meadows is living here because they like the feel of our town. It's kind of like a smaller town with the amenities of a bigger town. There's a handful of things that I would like to work on should I be elected for another term. One of which would be restoring our PACE bus route so that we can be better connected in Ward 5 with the Kirchhoff Road area. The other things that I think we could do is continue to build or pursue the various what would you call them, economic development type projects that we've been working on. We've added quite a few restaurants. We got someone that'll be coming into Sam's Club in the near future, and basically start making our city a destination. COVID derailed a couple of things
Thank
the
you,
last few
candidate
years, but we
Basessi.
are on a good path for that. I'd like to continue.
Thank you. And candidate Boucher, same question to you. I'm happy to repeat it if you would
So
like.
we're talking about growth in Ward 5 and the funding of things if we intend to
Yes.
grow the library and such.
How can Rolling Meadows and Ward 5 in particular keep its existing population and attract growth? If you propose improvements to infrastructure, the library or parks, how would you fund it?
Okay, so I think Ward 5 and Rolling Meadows in general is really gonna be helped by the change in District 15's boundaries. Now children will be going to school with the same kids from K through 12th grade, which they are not doing, depending on, especially in Ward 5, your children will be split, could potentially be split from their friends twice. So I think Ward 5 could potentially really grow as our schools kind of fit into this new realm of their existence with District 15. I think bringing in businesses, bringing in business tax revenue is really going to help us be able to improve things like the library or parks. Our amenities compared to other cities who have larger business staples are just lacking, and they're behind. They're not that they're not great, they're just not to the level of Arlington Heights and Palatine. So I think if the first step is working to get businesses here, to keep businesses here, and then we can take that tax money when it comes in to improve what we already have.
Thank you. Along the same lines, as you have both mentioned in your answers on the financial side of things, this question will go, I'll ask the next question to candidate Boucher first. If the Bears move to Arlington Heights, how would it impact Rolling Meadows?
So a thing that I don't think a lot of residents in Rolling Meadows realize is it's going to really be a strain on our first responders and our resources. We are going to be responsible for a lot of traffic control in and out of the Bears Stadium, as we are for major events at Arlington Park right now. We also would have to respond to anything on 53. So I think it's really important that the city sit down and come up with a plan, work with our surrounding communities, like I know we already do with fire and safety, to help back up, and to maybe work with the state of Illinois, whose radio systems we work with, to kind of just help keep our citizens safe, as we are also keeping visitors to the area safe as they're at Bear Stadium. I think it's also going to be just a little bit of getting used to the new traffic flow. 53 is just not built for an event that big in that kind of space. So I think it's just going to be adjusting as things kind of change. But I think in the long run, that again, that tax revenue, especially for our schools, is really going to help improve Rolling Meadows.
Thank you. Candidate Basessi, same question to you. If the Bears move If the Bears moved to Arlington Heights, how would it impact Rolling Meadows?
There'll be a lot of impacts on Rolling Meadows, both mostly positive, but potentially some negative. Resources such as police, fire, public works, those types of things, traffic, they're all being addressed already. One of the things that the council and myself have really pushed and looked for in hiring our new city manager was someone who was going to focus on that and be very good representative for us at getting a seat on the table. As far as, those services, we will be getting compensation to help grow our police and fire department from Arlington Heights. And or the Bears. We will, our city manager has assured us that the taxpayers will not be paying extra because this facility has come into our community.
Thank you. We're on to the next question, and candidate Bessetti, you are up first for that. Flooding is an issue around Salt Creek. What mitigations are in place? And do we need more to prevent such occurrences? Or flooding in general, if you'd prefer to go with that.
Okay, Salt Creek does have some issues. I do know that we have our community development or public works department has been strategizing on various things and has implemented some things. We do have a committee, environmental committee that also focuses on Salt Creek. Salt Creek doesn't necessarily run through our ward, but it does impact our ward in that our children go to the park district in that. I also know that the park district, it's a very large, since they have jurisdiction, it's a very big part of their concerns.
Thank you. Candidate Boucher, same question to you. If you'd like to answer it in the specific or just in general from the flooding concerns in Rolling Meadows. Flooding is an issue around Salt Creek. What mitigations are in place, and do we need more to prevent such occurrences? Or again, flooding in general?
So flooding in general is a thing I have definitely noticed in Ward 5, living here my whole life. Anytime it rains, it snows, where we are especially, it floods, the creek floods, and it becomes a safety concern for the kids walking to and from the high school, to and from Willow Bend, anyone who lives in our ward whose kids still are adventurous enough to walk over to Willow Bend. I think we just need to make sure we continue to keep the creek clean so it can continue to flow, that we have flow consistent. We should also make sure we work with the local park district and the county to make sure that we are meeting all of our wildlife and our grasses. If we keep our creek beds healthy, they're going to be a little bit, sorry, my words are struggling. If we keep our creek beds not dry and not muddy, they're not going to necessarily, the grass will help keep that a little bit more contained, kind of keep ourselves. So it's just keeping us organized and ready.
Thank you. Okay, Stephanie, you are up first for the next question. And this kind of dovetails into what you both raised in the last question. What is the most critical infrastructure area that must be addressed? And how will it be financed? So it's a two-parter. What is the most critical infrastructure area that must be addressed for Rolling Meadows? And how will it be financed?
So I think Ward 5, I know we're in the middle of a sewer and water pipe rebuild, and Ward 5 is in great shape. We're completed. I think we have some drainage issues definitely through the ward that did not fix. That might have to go back through as a follow-up to the sewer and water pipe work. We flood worse now since the change in the piping than we did before. So we might have to go back through and work and put it into our budget to go back and fix these areas, really have somebody come out and survey why Ward 5 floods. Walking around this weekend, there was lots of standing water on streets and sidewalks that's just not being cleared. So I think we're going to really need to go through and make sure we survey through and make sure Ward 5 is meeting the standard to help keep us safe, especially with the high school kids using our ward to get to and from school.
Thank you. Candidate Bessetti, same
Yes.
question to you. It is a two-parter. Would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. What is the most critical infrastructure area that must be addressed? And how will it be financed?
Okay. I've said on pretty much every questionnaire during this election cycle that the water and sewer infrastructure is our primary concern. 75% of our water and sewer infrastructure is from the 50s and 60s. Ward 5 has recently been replaced. There is a plan to spend over $3 million per year on water and sewer. However, I'm wanting to accelerate that. The government, through the ARPA program, has provided money. And should I be reelected alderman, I will be pushing very hard that the bulk of that be used to help with our water and sewer and flooding issues.
Thank you. And Candidate Bessetti, you're up first for the next question. If you want to catch your breath, that's okay.
I'm good. I had like 10 seconds.
Okay, here we go. What are your plans to maintain or increase the availability of affordable housing for both homeowners and renters? So it's a question dealing with affordable housing for both homeowners and renters. What are your plans to maintain or increase the availability of affordable housing for both homeowners and renters?
Okay, that's actually a good question. It's a difficult one within Ward 5, because Ward 5 is pretty much landlocked and basically built out. So as far as creating more affordable housing within our ward, I don't really see that we can do that. However, we can through proper inspection and oversight of the multifamily housing, improve some of those facilities. I believe we've also done some things with keeping our taxes low. We have not raised taxes more than 1% over the whole time that I've been alderman. So I take it very seriously about issues that affect residents, especially the ones that are struggling through these times.
Thank you. Candidate Boucher, same question to you. What are your plans to maintain or increase the availability of affordable housing for both homeowners and renters?
So it's important I would start working. So we do have some multi-family, multi-unit housing in our ward. It'll be important to maintain that we work with the leasees to make sure that they're providing affordable healthcare, make sure that they're not bringing more fees onto our residents who are using these units to help better their lives. A lot of them are new here to our city or to our state, and this is kind of a great place for them to start out. Rolling Meadows has started to offer some more housing in areas that we can, but without a train station, it's kind of hard to pull people in to use those housing. We don't offer what some of the surrounding areas do. There's not a walk to transportation. There's not a walk to eat or to stores. So it's going to be important to just keep the people we have. So we make sure we maintain proper tax rates and proper availability to the housing that is already here within our area.
Thank you. And you are up, Candidate Boucher, for the first and the next, or excuse me, Candidate Bessetti. No, sorry about that. I was looking at an audience question that was hot off the press, distracted me. But that will come up in a minute. I want to finish up. We're really kind of drilling down on the financial aspects and where you see the priorities are. What will be your top 3 spending priorities?
So I think it'll be important to utilize the Build Back Better that was just passed in Washington, offering billions of dollars to local communities to help build our infrastructure and improve our infrastructure. With the Bear Stadium coming, that'd be a perfect time to start using that money to update our roads and our traffic and flow, our traffic lights, all of that great stuff. I would also find it important to use products that could link into the STARCOM radio system to help keep our first responders safe. There's a lot of stuff out there right now that can help just keep our citizens and our first responders safe. So I think that's a big priority that we should be looking into, especially with an increase of people coming into the city. And I'd also like to see us invest in being able to improve our things like our library and our park district. The community center is great. It hasn't changed though in the 30 plus years I've lived in Rolling Meadows. So I know it's park district, but the city could really work with the park district to help improve what we offer, so our residents use our programs here instead of looking outside of our area to send their children.
Thank you. Candidate Bessetti, same question to you. What will be your top 3 spending priorities?
Okay, 1, the infrastructure, as I said, the ARPA money and or Build Back Better money. I am going to push very strongly for that to be used in that area, and we need to make sure we stay on course with the plan for our roads and bridges. I also want to see if we can find some money to increase the support we need for our social services department. We have a very small social services department that aids the police department on calls, as well as aids residents with helping navigate through issues, especially if they're, whether it's a domestic issue or a financial issue or whatever. However, the resources are stretched very thin, so I'd like to add to that. And then lastly, I'd like to see what we can do to help attract tech, more tech businesses, maybe more things centered around, over by Northrop. It'd be a good idea to try and get some of their suppliers.
Okay,
Try to move
thank
into
you.
our park.
Your time has elapsed. Thank you for finishing your thought. We are going to switch gears for a live audience question just submitted on climate change. Candidate Bessetti, you are up first for this in the rotation. Climate change they say, climate change is an important national issue. What is the appropriate role of local government, Rolling Meadows local government, in confronting this issue? And what specific actions do you believe the city of Rolling Meadows should take to ameliorate the effects of the global climate change as it would affect Rolling Meadows?
Okay, I could take an hour on this one.
I know. Let me repeat it let's reset the timer because there are 2 parts. Climate change is an important national issue. First part, what is the appropriate role of Rolling Meadows local government in confronting this issue? And what specific actions do you believe the city of Rolling Meadows should take to ameliorate its effects on global climate change?
Okay. Let me know when the time starts. There we go. So the city, there's multiple things. First off, the city could be a good economic citizen. For example, we are starting to look at electric cars, alternate fuel type vehicles for our city as we go through the replacements. We need to stay on top of our local businesses and make sure that everyone is abiding by all the EPA and IEPA standards. Green space with every development is something that I believe we should definitely encourage. And it would take too long to go any farther.
Fair enough. Thank you, Candidate Bessetti. Candidate Boucher, whenever you are ready.
Sure.
Would you like me to repeat the question? Or
No, I was taking notes on the
Great.
question as you were talking.
Okay.
So I think the city could really help push getting people help putting solar panels onto their house, especially with the cost of electricity skyrocketing right now in our current situations. So I think helping people to get solar panels put onto their house will help make them become self-sufficient and use less of our energy that would be coming in. I think it would be great to help plant more trees. I know we've lost a lot in Ward 5 to disease, to death. A lot of our bigger trees are now gone. Helping people get more trees planted, get more greenery back into our ward. I also love the program a couple years back where people could get rainwater containers and they could use that water to do their gardens. And while walking, I saw a lot of people still use those rain barrels. And I think bringing a program like that back would be great, especially in this age, to kind of show people to reuse that water. So those are just a couple things that the city could do.
Thank you. And Candidate Boucher, you are up first for this next question. We're switching gears a little bit.
Sure.
Do you support using tax increment financing to help attract new businesses? Why or why not?
So I believe it's important to give new companies coming into the area a tax break to get them here. I don't think necessarily they deserve a tax break to stay here forever. The everyday worker doesn't get a break from their taxes for staying in an area for longer. I do believe that in the long run, it's a detriment to our residents who then see an increase in their own personal tax. If we get a company to come in and they pay no taxes, it doesn't do the city any good. They're not bringing that money into us unless the workers are then moving into Rolling Meadows. So I think it's great to offer them tax relief when they first move in, but it has to be phased out or else they're here and they're never really putting back into the community in which they are part of.
Thank you. Candidate Bassesi, same question to you. Would you like me to repeat it?
Am I in favor of TIFs?
Yes. Why or why not?
Okay. If properly used, I believe they're an excellent vehicle for attracting businesses, such as how, Gallagher is here and some of the other larger businesses that we've had in our community. I believe ultimately, as long as the TIF is going to wind up paying for itself and added revenue for the city, it's a good thing. People who go to work at a lot of these larger facilities, they eat at our restaurants, they look to potentially buy in our homes because our homes are still more affordable than most of our surrounding communities. So I believe that TIFs have their place, but they should not be overused.
Thank you. I'm headed into our last question unless we do receive another audience question. I do want to encourage the audience to submit any additional questions. Text to the number 847-701-4701. Again, that's 847-701-4701. Please text a question. Good questions really do make the difference in a candidate forum. Or email forum.lwv-AH@gmail.com. So this will be the last question, unless we do receive another live question from the audience. And that is, how do you plan to work with other aldermen on the council for the betterment of your constituents and Rolling Meadows?
Would that be me first?
That will be you first. Thank you.
Excellent question. This would have been a nice one for the last time I ran. I basically ran to be alderman on this topic. We had a lot of bickering and a lot of, let's say, non-productive conversation going on within our council, our mayor, and such. That prompted me to definitely run again for city council. I feel as an alderman, even though we have had our disagreements on things, we've done it with proper decorum. We've done it with proper respect, which hasn't always been there. I plan on continuing to work collaboratively with all the council members and staff, as well as residents and other governmental agencies.
Thank you. Candidate Boucher, same question to you.
Yes, sorry. I want to apologize for the funny face. I had to sneeze. So sorry,
Oh.
John, while you were talking.
That's the part of the Zoom era.
Sorry. So I am a group worker by nature. I love the challenge of working with a group. It's all about getting the problem solved, not who gets credit for solving the problem. I am a natural leader, but I also am a natural listener. I love to take an idea, run with it, mend it, blend it. So I'm just looking forward to bringing in a positive, a little bit younger than our city council views into what is going on in the life of people in the city who haven't had their voices heard in a really long time. So I'm just looking to come in and just work with who's already there and just be excited to bring in fresh, exciting new ideas.
Okay. We did receive another question from the audience. And the first person is up for that is candidate Boucher.
Okay, ready.
I'm stalling to give you a little more time.
I'm good. Sorry, I all of a sudden had a sneezing attack. Sorry, guys.
Are you good?
Good, ready.
Okay. At one time, Ward 5 was larger. Should we try to increase the ward size? And if so, what would be your plan?
So I definitely think that Ward 5 has become a little bit of a small landlock of life. We have very little business that comes into Ward 5. We have our strip mall right outside of the apartment complex. I think that Ward 5 should include the elementary school, that the students in Ward 5 are the only ones that attend. I feel it's a little bit silly to have somebody else having the interest of our children than the person who actually send their children to that school. I think we should also push to just get some of that business life back into Ward 5. We're small but mighty, but when you look at some of the other wards and what they have to work with, we are very small and very contained on our resources that we have. So I think it would be important as the census just finished up to maybe look as things start to get moving, how we can increase back the size of Ward 5.
Thank you. Candidate Bessetti, same question to you. Would you like?
Yeah, I think I have the question. First off, the census was just completed and we did just approve within the last couple of months a new ward map for Ward 5 that does increase the size of our ward. Wards are determined by number of residents, not necessarily the geographical square miles of a particular ward. The bulk of our residents are in our multifamily housing areas and our townhomes. And we are by far not the smallest ward from a population standpoint. As far as increasing the size of our ward, the only way I could see us potentially doing that would be losing part of our ward, our multifamily housing, and expanding towards the 4th ward. But then that causes all kinds of other issues with doing that. Our next opportunity will be after the next census.
Thank you. And with that, that was our last question. We will head into closing statements. Oh, pardon. We do have another live question and we have time for it. I'd like to get that in. I'm sure you would too. So candidate Bessetti, you are up first for this one. I've lived here 43 years, and in the past, I don't feel the aldermen have made a presence in our community. How would you make yourself present in our community?
I agree. I agree 100%. And I believe I have worked to make myself a lot more present. I've attended some of the activities that are over in the East Park Apartments. I go to many of our city events. In fact, in the past, prior to being an alderman, I looked to run those through as a member of the JCs. I do, I'd like to assure the resident that that is changing. The council that they elected 4 years ago is very visible council. It's a much younger council than we've had historically. And very diverse council. So my part of it is definitely any event that I can attend, whether it be a business opening, a gathering over in East Park or something in Kimball Hill. I'm happy to attend.
Thank you. Candidate Boucher, the same question to you.
Yeah, so I first of all think it's really important for aldermen to have something within their communities once a quarter. Talk to your people, set up a time where they can come in, tell you what their concerns are, see what's been going on. A lot of people aren't junkies, so they don't watch the meetings, they don't go to the meetings, they don't read the board minutes. So have quarterly get to know your alderman, what's going on, how can we help you? I think that is really important because I feel sometimes in our ward we feel unseen because we are kind of the back lot of Rolling Meadows, so close to being Arlington Heights. I grew up volunteering at what used to be the PNRC over at East Park, so I think it's really important to go over and work with the families there to go to any events they have, but also host your own events so they can see that they are being represented in the city council, and it's not just they know you care and you know they're there. So I really would like to have in-person open events for the constituents.
Thank you. So Candidate Boucher, you're up next for this next question. I'm happy to say that actually, Candidate Basessi, I believe you have not answered the current question. Am I right in that?
No, I went second this time.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to say that I've been looking at some new questions from the audience.
Oh, okay.
So that new question is up to Candidate Boucher first.
Sure.
Do you feel that residents of Ward 5 are engaged in community events? If not, how can we increase participation?
I would say walking around in the last couple of weeks, I did not find that a lot of people were engaged. I found that we had a lot of turnover here in Ward 5, turnover that I wasn't even aware of. Not being in the local elementary schools, you don't meet as many families as you would when I was in the elementary school. But I think we need to do some more to really push social media, push flyers, push just announcements. I feel that sometimes people just don't know what's going on if they're not reading their news and views that comes out with the water bill, or they're not watching city council meetings. So I think we could really push to talk to people in Ward 5 to kind of get to know them, see all the new faces that we have coming in. Even if it's going over to the elementary school at the beginning of the year and talking to the families, seeing what they're seeing. So I think there's definitely potential to get Ward 5 more involved, but right now it's probably lacking some of the other wards.
Thank you. Candidate Basessi, same question to you.
Can you say it one more time, please?
Absolutely. Do you feel that residents of Ward 5 are engaged in community events? And if not, how can we increase participation if you have time for that?
I believe many of the residents within the ward do come to our community events. One of the things I've tried to do as alderman is bring them closer to our ward. For example, the Christmas lighting is now at the Historical Museum, which is across the street from the high school, a lot closer to our ward, so people can walk. I believe they are engaged in the 4th of July and some of our other events. We do try to do, in my volunteer life, I work with the library to make sure that we did things bilingual, such as the Dr. Seuss birthday celebration. I also know that we have members in our community that are part of our Community Events Foundation, who, by the way, is looking for more members. So really advertising within our ward that there are opportunities for that.
Okay, thank you. So with that does appear to be our last audience question for the question and A portion. I will stretch it just a moment here to see if there is anything else being entered into the live question process. If not, we will move on to closing statements. Okay, We will move on to closing statements. And since candidate Bessetti went first for the opening statements, candidate Boucher will lead us in the closing statements. 2 minutes, and please begin when you are ready, candidate Boucher.
So in conclusion, I would really love the opportunity to focus my time on helping Ward 5 just move into the next generation of leaders. I feel it's also really important that we work well with Rolling Meadows High School, as they are the biggest entity in our ward. I have a child at the school. I am on a volunteer organization at the school, and I have connections with the administration. I think it's key that we really work with them so we know what they're doing and they know what we're doing. So it's really important that the right and left hand start to communicate so our neighborhood feels safe and they feel heard, and we can be good neighbors and they can be good neighbors to us. I just, again, have a passion for leading and for organizing and for working with people. So this is just something I feel I would be naturally excel at and be able to really represent our ward with a voice and a passion of working with families for the last 10 years in all of the elementary schools. I also, in my current role, know a lot about the public safety, and I could help bring that to the city council. I can help if there's questions with understanding of how these systems work and how this all goes together. It's a huge system that we're part of, so I would love to be able to bring that knowledge to the board as well to help make those decisions. If anyone has any questions, my email, I don't know if I'm allowed to share my email, but my email is Boucher4FOR, so BOUCHER FOR/RM-Ward5@gmail.com. I'd love to hear if anyone's got any concerns or questions. I can come down and visit you. I just would really love that opportunity to be your next representative. And thank you for your time and your questions. And thank you for the league for having us today. It was a great opportunity.
Thank you. Candidate Bessetti, whenever you're ready to begin your 2-minute closing statement, and feel free to share any contact information if you would like.
Will do. And I'd like to start by thanking the League of Women Voters for holding this event and giving our residents an opportunity to listen to both the candidates. I think there were a lot of good topics discussed, and they can reach me at any time, either through the Ward 5 at cityrm.org or my personal email address, John, Jon, Bessetti, BISESI 88@gmail.com. As I said before, I have been a 35-year resident of this community. I came here as a very young man, freshly married. My wife grew up here and has also been very active in things. I believe I bring a strong passion and concern for the residents of not only this ward, but the entire city. I believe that these first 4 years, I've learned quite a bit on city mechanisms and how things work and how to get things done. I will be running for my last term since we now have a 2-term limit that was recently passed. The other stuff that I would like to bring up in my brief amount of time is that I'm not really a politician in any way, shape, or form. I don't care about Republicans or Democrats or who anybody is. People are people. And as an alderman, I need to represent our people. And I believe very strongly in making sure that the city doesn't put any undue burdens on our residents, that I'm a homeowner. I've been through all the things. I know what the city can do by raising taxes, by raising fees, by doing all these different things. And I want to make sure that we only do that when absolutely possible or absolutely needed.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you both candidates from all of us here at the League for our candidate forum. This does conclude the candidate portion of our candidate forum. Thank you to Rosemary our MC, and I believe she has some closing remarks for all of us, in particular on voting and for voting information. And if you are interested in being part of the League of Women Voters, helping in your community. Rosemary?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Shannon Silverman, for being our moderator. All right, please make sure to register to vote. Please make your plan to vote and then make sure your voice is counted this election day. If you need help, the League of Women Voters, Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove is here to help. You can check out our website at www.lwvah.org for voter registration information. Yes, you can register online. You can mail in vote information, you can secure Dropbox locations, and plan your ballot. Those judges matter, as well as your early and day of polling locations. And for any of you looking to support this year's election to make sure it's safe, secure, and accessible for all, we even have a link where you can sign up to be a poll worker and even earn a little extra cash. Students, it's a day off school. Again, check us out at www.lwvah.org and follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We even have accounts specifically for youth, and that account is at student.lwvah and a mascot at pause for votes. And make sure once you're ready to vote, you tell 10 friends where they can find all the information they need to be counted at www.lwvah.org. We are grateful to all for joining us and to our candidates, John Bissesi and Stephanie Boucher. Our democracy relies on citizens willing to run for office, and to all of the volunteers of our league who worked tirelessly to bring you this free program. Have a great night. Maybe we'll see you back here for the other candidate forums we will be hosting for the April 4th election. Make sure to check on our website for registration links to other forums. Check out www.illinoisvoterguide.org for more information on the April 4th election and the candidates. Our annual fundraiser will take place on Sunday, March 12th, with a luncheon at Mago featuring a gun violence prevention speaker, new league gear, and some good surprises. Please go to our website to register, www.lwvah.org.